What's going on, boys? NealGuides here. Welcome back to another tactics video. Before I get on to that, I just want to very quickly say that this year I'm doing exclusive group coaching with Gamers Academy. Gamers Academy is a platform where you can learn to get better from some of the best FIFA players in the world, including myself. I run my group coachings exclusively this year on Gamers Academy. I run it on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. UK time, and right now they're running a free trial. So if you just click on the link down below, it will take you exactly to my link where you can get the free trial, and you can sign up for 7 days and you get no risk, no fee. So you can cancel whenever you want, and it's a free trial for 7 days. And that way you can get my coaching session. And remember, it's Tuesday, 7 p.m. if you want to get coached by me. And of course, you get access to other coaches, other group coaches on there as well. So make sure you do check out the information. Link is down below in the description. But let's go straight back into the video. So I wanted a defensive formation. As I mentioned to you before, the 4-2-3-1 is a very attacking formation, and it's also defensive. It's probably the most, it's the most meta formation, but sometimes you want a formation to close the game out. So that is where we've gone to the 4-3-3 third variation. Now, the reason why I prefer over the second is because you have two CDMs. And if we go ahead and we compare this very quickly, if I compare this to the 4-2-3-1, you can see that the 4-2-3-1 is basically the same system, except for these are more attacking cams, and you have a central cam. So you basically have a lamb and a ram and a central cam. They've actually nerfed the 4-2-3-1. They never told anyone this, but EA have actually nerfed the 4-2-3-1 in FIFA 20, if I'm not mistaken. And the CDMs, they sit higher than they used to back. Those who are wondering why is the 4-2-3-1 not effective as it used to be, it's because they nerfed it. But with the 4-3-3, the left mid and right mids, when they come back, they're basically wide wingers, but they defend in left mids and right mid positions when they come back. And you have two CDMs, and then you have, of course, the center mid sitting deeper compared to the 4-2-3-1. So let's go straight into tactics and instructions. So again, this is a formation to close the game out. Your opponent is using team press. This is the formation you change to close the game out. Understand that. It's not to hold out the win when you're 45 minutes ahead. It's, let's say, 60-70 minutes and it's time for you to close up the shot. This is it. But there's no park the bus. Let's get, you can still attack with this formation. The width, we've gone to 40 because we want to be narrow. We want to basically emulate overload the ball side, but we're not going to the extreme. My job's not for you to teach you how to park the bus. No one's going to get better playing that way. You'll never become a better player if you just park the bus, rely on AI, because you'll be relying on AI your entire self. Lower width just means that you're going to have a narrower defense, and that means you're pushing your opponent to go on the wing areas, and that means the main areas of danger realistically is over here outside the box, and there's less gaps between your strikers. If you're up against a 4-4-2, 4 strikers up against your 4 defenders will kind of split your back line up. So it's very, very important they have a narrow width. Very, very important. Defense style, of course, we're going to use balanced. Drop back is actually worse than balanced. People don't notice, but drop back, the game makes the players not react. So if you put them on balance, they actually sometimes, the backline actually push forward to close space. Actually, balance is the best defense style, not drop back, because you leave too much space when your backline drops back, and there's too much space in midfield. Any top tier player will know how to beat you down. The depth, we left on 45, because obviously we are winning in this situation. We don't need to use an aggressive depth. We can just basically sell it down. Now, we don't want to be parking the bus, and we don't want to be playing so offensively. So 45 gives us a good balance to also build up as well, because we want to be tanked in our own half. Remember that. So we don't want to be tanked in, and we want to be able to at least somewhat press if our opponent's got the ball. So that way we can decide on the fly, do we want to sit back or do we want to press? At least this way your defensive line is not so far back, because finesse shots are still effective. They have been nerfed, yes, but finesse shots are still effective. So you don't want to be all the way back, and you will understand that when you go into the game. Now, offensive style. Now, if you want to, you can use balanced, okay? I would suggest slow build-up play, because what happens is that when you're getting pressed a lot, everything moves very, very quickly. But with slow build-up player, your players move forward slower, and that gives you more thinking time to pass the ball to a player than if they're just rushing forward the entire time. So I would say use balanced. If you find that's fine, keep it. I personally use slow build-up play because the players move forward slower, and therefore I can pass the ball to them because they're closer to me and there's lower risk. So if you're getting pressed a lot, you're better off using slow build-up play. That's what I would recommend in terms of that. Now, chance creation. Now remember, slow build-up play, this is basically for the first 2/3. Remember, you're going to be closing the game out. So for the final third, which is chance creation, you don't want to be going gung-ho. So no forward runs. I wouldn't recommend direct passing. I think balanced is the go-to now. Possession is good, but I have to say this. It's good if you know how to play FIFA with L1 triggers, because there's going to be situations where, remember this, if you want to create space just like you do in real life, the best thing you can do to create space is to move away from the ball holder, just like in real life. The way you create space is for your teammate to move away, not to come close. If your teammate comes close, that means your opponent comes close, and that therefore invites more pressure. It's the exact same thing like in real life. So if you have it on possession, you're going to understand that AI is going to track your players. So if your player comes close, AI will track with him, and then you're able to constant press you quicker. So you need to be able to use L1 trigger. So if someone comes too close and your opponent is coming with him, you can send him on a run going forward to alleviate pressure. So use possession only if you know how to use L1 triggers. If you don't, make sure you leave this unbalanced. That is very, very important. And you will know this when you go into a game, put position on first. If you realize this is too much, just put it back to balance. And the width, we have gone with 70. Now, the reason why is when we have the ball, we want our team to be as wide as possible because our opponent's going to be pressing from wide areas inwards. So we want to make sure we're in the central areas, and we want to be as wide as possible. That way our team is also wide. That means that his players are going to be wider, and that's going to create more space for us. So being wide creates more space on the pitch for us. The players in the box, I'll put this to 1, because that way when you get to the wing type position, you want to pass the ball back and pass around. But remember, if he's parking the bus and he's winning 2-0, it's his problem. Don't feel scared, because if someone is parking the bus, and I don't understand how people do it. Imagine parking the bus when you're losing 2-0. It makes no sense, but people just do it. So you know what? Let him get it. Let him suffer. Let him get stuck inside his own box and just pass the ball outside his box, not your box, outside his box, and you'll force him to come out, make a mistake, and then you can capitalize on that situation. Corners and free kicks on 1, because of course you don't want to get countered. Now instructions: left mid, right mid, both on stand edge of the box and come back on offense. What I would recommend is putting stay wide on them. That way they're just going to be as wide as they can on the pitch. Again, you're going to have to use L1 triggers. If you don't use L1 triggers, you can use getting behind, but it's the way that I would do it. Leave the interceptions on balance, because you kind of want them to come back as well. So leave them on stay wide, come back offense to the edge of the box. The striker, stay central, come back on offense, false 9, important. That means when you have the ball, sometimes you're going to have you're going to be separated with your midfield 3 and your front 3 separated. That false 9 means that striker will come and drop in between, and he will basically be, he's not going to be playing like Messi. Don't expect him to be doodling around centre mid like in real life. It doesn't work like that. But it'll be sometimes dropping outside the box. So when you're basically attacking your teammates, your opponent should I say, and you're over here, he will sometimes drop outside. That creates a numerical advantage outside the box as well. So you'll have less players inside the box. But remember, if you find that his defensive line is moving up with it, then just leave this unbalanced. So you will know that from experience. So depending on your playstyle, I'd recommend try false 9 first. If you find that his defensive line is too high, because obviously his defensive line is only as far as the striker. So if your striker is there, he's going to be there. If the striker is there, you force the defensive line to be backwards. So remember that. Remember that, because I want you to change it to your playstyle, because some people know how to do this, some people know how to do L1 trigger, some of you guys don't know. So try false 9 first. If that doesn't work, just put him on balance, to be honest. So you can put him on target man, it's not that important. Now, what I would suggest is if you are going to go to close the game out, put the center mid on drop between defenders, cover center. This way, when you're attacking, you have a back 5 and a midfield 2. No one will break you down if you have the ball and you have 2 CDMs and a back 5. It will be impossible. It's basically like a 3-5-2, but when you're attacking. So you have no counter-attack potential. You do this, there is no way your opponent will get past you unless you make a mistake. You might get unlucky a few times, but there's no way your opponent will get past. Stand edge of the box for him as well, okay? Both CDMs, cut passing lanes, stay back while attacking, cover center. Leave this unbalanced. Don't touch this and don't touch this. Same thing, okay? This is where you want to put your 2 CDMs. You don't want to put these guys on drop between defenders, because then you lose a CDM. You want to keep your CDMs and have someone else drop in between defenders. And then for the back line, it's the same as usual. Stay back while attacking. Don't but step up, conservative, and overlap. Again, don't forget, people always get this confused. Overlap doesn't mean they're going to be making runs on the outside. It just that means that if you do a run, they'll make a run on the outside. So the question you're going to ask me is, okay, that's fine and dandy, but who drops in between? Dembele? Absolutely not. So what you want to do is you take Dembele, and you move him to the wing position, and I put Fred there. Now, if you don't play with 3 centre mids, what you do is you sub someone on. So if you're inside a game, so in this situation, I normally start with Fred. I normally sub him off, okay? I'm changing this team tomorrow. You'll see this video tomorrow. But let's say, for example, okay, you know what? I'm winning 2-0 head. What I will do probably is sub on someone like a Tal that can attack and defend. That way, if I end up somehow losing, at least I'm not forced for a defensive play. You see that? You've got to think ahead, just in case, worst case scenario. So let's say I'm 2-0 ahead. I will go straight to the 4-3-3 third variation, and then I'll sub on whoever is here for a Tal. And then that means when I'm attacking, I'll have a Tal dropping into the 5, 2 CDMs, and the front 3. That way, I cannot get counter-attacked. There is no way. You cannot, because your opponent cannot have 5 players, even if he has a 3-5-2 and he has every single player on stay forward, you have 5 versus 5 and 2 CDMs. And this is the only way that's going to stop those situations. So only use this if you're ahead. That's what I'm going to say to you, okay? And this won't replace the 4-2. I'll make a video. We're going to shift the 4-1-2-1-2 away, and we're going to add the 4-2-3-1 back in. I'll show you tomorrow in tomorrow's video. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. That is probably the best way to close out the game and the best way to stop counter attacks. Thank you very much for watching. Take it easy, and of course, I'll catch you next time. Peace out, boys.